Right, we got him. Oh, let's go! Use that equipment! Right, hello guys, and welcome to today's video. And yes, we're finally back at it, guys. We're going to be making videos here on the channel. And yeah, as you can see, Modern Warfare 2 gameplay. That's right, we played the beta. I did do a stream at one point. I don't know if any of you guys managed to catch it, but yeah, we played Modern Warfare 2, and today's video is going to be my thoughts and opinions on the Modern Warfare 2 beta, kind of what was good, what was bad, like, and mainly just discussing the bad things, you know, what could be improved, because everything else is pretty okay in my opinion, you know, but ultimately there's a lot of things that need to be discussed about Modern Warfare 2, because some of it's good, some of it's bad, and we'll get into it. We'll talk about it right here, right now. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and let's get into it. Let's talk about the Modern Warfare 2 beta, you know, and kind of like thoughts and opinions, you know, because I feel like a lot of people are going to share the same opinions with me here. Some people might not share the same opinions. It depends. It depends how, like, you know, the beta went for you, or how, you know, how you perceive things, etc. So I'm going to start by talking about the first thing I noticed when I got into the beta, which was the user interface. Okay, the UI in this game is not very good, like, at all, from the loadouts to like just the actual start. Like, when I first got into the beta, I ended up pressing B to back out because I didn't know what I was doing. Like, it was confusing, and I'm someone who's played COD quite a few years, you know. Like, I started all the way back in Black Ops 1, and I had no clue what I was looking at, what I was doing. I didn't know how to unlock certain guns. I didn't know anything, you know. The interface was so confusing, like, just trying to set up a class, trying to set up the perks, trying to pick your loadout in the game, trying to actually add more loadouts. It was so confusing. It was not great. They really need to do something. And the problem with this is, because this user interface is built the way it is, and this game has been in development for quite a while, I feel like this is the user interface we're going to be stuck with at launch, and that's quite a bad thing because it is very confusing, awful to use, and just didn't work, if I'm honest. It was one of those, don't change something if it ain't broke, and that's what they did. You know, they changed something, the class system, the way the menus worked in previous cards, even in Modern Warfare, in Cold War, etc. You know, this is something that didn't need fixing and has now been made 10 times worse than what it used to be. So hopefully there's a chance they can fix this before launch. But yeah, the user interface straight off the bat was horrendous. Let's move into a positive though. Let's go into gunfights, the gunplay, etc. Well, most of it was decent, okay? The way the guns felt and that was fine. You know, strafe speed wasn't too amazing, but it was okay, it was tolerable. Guns felt like there was recoil to the guns, which was quite nice in some retrospective. Like, the only problem is in this game with camping, which we'll get onto that. It makes it a lot harder to take people for head glitches. Now, maybe that'll be different at launch when we actually get like more attachments. Like, does having more attachments, you know, in the later levels make these guns a lot better? Does it make them like laser beams, etc.? We don't know, but we'll see. But as far as I could tell, like, the gunplay was pretty good, you know, it felt beefy. The time to kill was a bit fast, but it's not, you know, it's not the end of the world. Like, it's playable, it's tolerable. The hit detection was pretty good for the most part. Yeah, gunplay overall was pretty decent. The only thing that I'd say with gunplay that was actually bad was the visibility, okay, when firing a weapon. When firing a weapon, I would lose track of targets so often. I don't know what really caused it. It just felt like sometimes people would just disappear. Like, I would not be able to track them and see them, etc. when I was using my weapon, or firing my weapon. So yeah, that was one thing. Let's move on to other elements of the game that aren't so great. Let's talk about footstep audio. Oh man, big topic, this one, okay? This is the one that's got to change, okay? If there's anything, absolutely anything that has to change before this game launches, is the footstep audio. Because if it doesn't, you are going to want to camp, okay? This game will be built to camp. You will not, if you're someone who rushes, if you're someone who likes to play very aggressive, this is not the game for you. And this is what kind of sucked for me, I'm not going to lie. I hated that I felt like I had to be stationary and I couldn't go near someone because they could hear me. Not because I, you know, was worried whether or not they had a better position than me. I was just worried whether or not they could hear me. You know, it didn't matter what head glitch they had, didn't matter where they were on the map. If I sprint towards them, without dead silence, and even then, dead silence isn't the be-all end-all because it makes a massive loud beep when you turn that thing on, and not only that, I'm pretty sure it's not actually completely silent from what I've seen. But yeah, it felt like everyone and anyone could hear you, and no matter what you did, you'll even see moments in this gameplay where I go to rush someone because I know they've just been challenged or they've fired quite a few bullets from their gun. You know, I expect them to not be able to do anything about what I'm about to do. But because they hear me, they prepare themselves for that gunfight. When in other instances, in other Call of Duties, you know, I'd be running Ninja, I'd be running Dead Silence, I'd be running some sort of perk, or even the footstep audio would just not be to the levels that it is in this game, that I would be able to push someone. But like I'm just, you know, beating a drum here. I feel like everyone has made a video saying the same thing. It needs to be fixed before launch. Infinity Ward needs to listen to the community on this one, because that's something that's been pretty poor so far. They've acknowledged the things that we've said, but then just turn around and say that we're not going to do that, which makes no sense to me. Like, I get there's people who play this game and, you know, don't have a voice and don't necessarily, like, go to Twitter, go to Reddit, or post YouTube videos and things like that. But man, if the game wants to be successful to, like, the people who, you know, stream the game, who, you know, visually showcase the game to other people, who kind of, like, entice people to buy the game, you're gonna want to listen to those people. You know, the vocal minority is kind of what decides the fate of the game. And if they're the ones leaving reviews in the, you know, the review tabs of like Xbox marketplaces, online, etc., people will see that. You know, people who's like moms, dads, and that are looking to buy their kids this game, they're going to see those reviews, and you know, they're not going to be interested in this game. Obviously, that doesn't mean, you know, the be-all and end-all is down to whether or not dead silence in the game, you know, as a perk, or, you know, whether the footstep audio is louder or quieter. But it's something they got to start doing. You know, there was a lot of things that they ignored, such as the red dots on the minimap from shooting. That's a big one. It's not the be-all end-all again. I'm not actually overly bothered by that, but it's something that, you know, the community wants. It's been in COD for so many years. It makes the gameplay better. It just will. You know, what's the point in suppressors, essentially? I don't understand suppressors at that point. Suppressors are there for what? To make your gun sound quieter, which, again, with the way footstep audio is, doesn't really make sense at all. So suppressors are pretty much useless. Like, that's a design flaw right there. And yeah, so without beating a drum here, dead silence, you know, the way footsteps work and stuff, something needs to be done. Either the audio for the footsteps needs to be quiet, or simply dead silence needs to be a perk. And the more likely thing here is footsteps being quiet. So hopefully they get on top of this. Otherwise, we're gonna have a very campy game. And I mean, like, things like the perk system plays to camping with how you can set your perks up. And you can set up to have EOD, the other, what's it, the, you know, tac mass perk, basically. You can have restock, and you can have ghosts, so you can sit in a room with claymores and shock mines. You can hold head glitches, because, you know, people are going to come running towards you, and even if they want to get near you, you know, they have to crouch walk so quietly, you know, move so slowly. You know, there's basically nothing you can do about people camping. There is literally nothing you can do. You can't sprint at these people. You're just going to have to avoid them all game. And if that becomes the meta of just camping, at this point, games are just going to end by, like, you know, by time more than they are going to be score limit, because nobody's going to want to move. Like, here's a situation here. I push this guy who's just shot, and I know he's reloading. And what happens? He can prepare for me because I'm sprinting at him. And, you know, I know people will say, well, why didn't you just, like, walk towards him or something? The problem is, it's such an ingrained thing in Call of Duty to be able to, you know, rush and sprint around corners and, you know, try and win gunfights and be aggressive, that you just, it felt odd. Sometimes gunfights felt odd because it felt like I had to slow down so much that I felt like I wasn't going anywhere. And ultimately, it's not interesting for you guys watching either. If I'm going to post a gameplay where I go like 28-1 and you see me just sitting on the same head glitch for 28 of those kills, you guys aren't going to be interested. It's just not interesting at all. So yeah, the perk system needs to be reworked, I think, a little bit. I don't know with the perk system. It's one of those, it's again, something that wasn't broken that got changed, and just for the sake of it being new, I guess, it's a weird one to me. The way the gun system worked, gun progression was, I get it. I get the idea of making people use, you know, different guns. It's one I'm torn on a bit. Maybe when the game comes out, I'll see if I appreciate it more. But during the beta, it felt kind of annoying, just because we were supposed to be testing guns, that I ended up having to use guns that I wouldn't necessarily use to get to certain guns. It also kind of was interesting. I don't know. I'm a bit torn on that one. I'm a bit 50-50. So we'll see when the game launches, whether or not that's interesting. Because again, we don't know how many weapon levels there are as well. You know, way you unlock attachments for weapons is different this year. You don't have to level up every single gun to like level 80 or whatever. You don't have to do that for like all 50 guns or whatever they add. So we'll see how that works when the game fully launches. I'm not gonna like complain about that one too much. I'm not gonna say that's great. I'm not gonna say that's bad. The maps were okay, you know, for Infinity Ward. These are some of the best maps we've had in a while, you know. There's actually a bit of a flow, like without the camping, obviously. It felt like the spawns as well could have been a bit better, like, to make these maps play a lot better. But ultimately, the maps were actually quite decent, you know. They were colourful. The ground war maps were even quite decent. Like, there was only one, I can't remember what it was called, that I wasn't so happy on. But, you know, not every map's going to be perfect. So overall, though, the maps were, I'd give a solid 7 out of 10, you know, for actual, like, playability and stuff. Again, hopefully things like, you know, footsteps and stuff will allow for these maps to play better than what I think they're being played at. Like, again, it's very campy, the meta at the moment, because of the, you know, the footstep building and that. But yeah, that's a few things that I wanted to bring up, a few things I wanted to talk about. Let me know in the comment section down below what you thought of the beta, what if you did play. Let me know what you're most hyped for when the game launches, and what you want changed. What is the one thing you massively want changed before the game launches? Me, personally, footstep audios. Footstep audio is the biggest thing on the list. Everything else is okay, or, you know, you can handle it. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe notifications on, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Goodbye!